Greetings and welcome to this yoga with me in the invisible Jim Taran. Hope you're all well. Hope you can hear me. Maybe you can't actually. Maybe you can. Can you hear me? I guess you can. If anyone can wave or put a message that they can hear me, that will be good. I think you can, but
yeah, I can hear you.
I don't know.
Can you hear me?
Hello, can anyone hear me at home?
I can.
Yeah, you can. You can hear me. Yay! Thanks very much. And now you can also see me.
Ta-da!
Ta-da! So, welcome everyone. Swagatam Sadavaha. We're going to start sitting down. Nice, huh? Sitting down with crossed legs. The Sukhasana. Gap between the legs and the pelvis, buttock flesh drawn out and back. And chest up, breathing through the nose. Great. So just a few deep breaths here. In this Sukhasana. Internalizing, as it were. Bring your hands to a prayer position. Keep breathing through the nose if you can. Interlace the fingers. Stretch the arms diagonally away. Raise the arms up, keeping the tummy lightly toned and still breathing through the nose if you can. Meditative movement that causes meditation, meaning reabsorption to the point where nobody's doing or not doing or even involved in any way. But that's not a thing, you know. It's like it's an emptiness of things or thingness. So it might involve movement, forwards, backwards, left or right with the arms. It should trigger breath release. It's definitely massaging the IT bands, the iliotibial tracts. And we might move in any direction, circling side to side. It's not the direction that we move, but what it does that matters. Inhaling, lift high. Exhaling, turn. Turning the body very simply for the Parivrita version of Sukhasana. Very, very direct. Empty of grasping, a parigraha. Meditating directly on the immediacy of the sensations in the spine without getting into thinking. So I've summarized Patanjali's 4 things that he tells us about yoga into 3 S's. Softness. That's one of the S's, softness. Stability and space. Softness, stability, or you could have softness, strength, and space. So softness has got to be there all the time. Stability, all the time, a sort of committed steadiness. And space, openness. Where the softness is there to create space. Lift and turn the other direction. So Patanjali's 4 things summarized into 3 S's. Softness, stability, and space. But the skill is all 3 things should occur together at the same time. So if you're in this pose, Parivrita Sukhasana, the softness within the strength of lift, one doesn't override the other. This strong, powerful lift, but no sense of losing softness. And the lift is intending to create space. So how do these relate to Patanjali's 4 things? Well, softness, of course, correlates to Patanjali's Sukham and Chaitanya. That is to say, easefulness and relaxation. Steadiness directly correlates to Patanjali's Sthira, which just means steady, stable. And space correlates to Patanjali's Ananta, endless. The direct contact with endlessness. Great, good job everyone. Return to center, Upavishta Konasana. Take a generous stride. You can, of course, sit on a block for this. It's not Samakonasana, which is the box splits. This is Upavishta Konasana. So it's same angle. Upavishta means to sit. Kona means angle. Upavishta Konasana. And so the angle should be the same from the midline to both legs. Buttock flesh is drawn out and back. If you're sitting on a block, the corner faces forwards. We inhale, lift, and turn. And again, we meditate on absorption in the present. So those three things, if you can get those three things together, it's a bit like the, we also have several sets of three actually in Vajrasati yoga. We have these three: softness, stability, spaciousness. But we also have Lila Attalakshana, play for the purpose of absorption and check in with signs. We have calmness, conditions, connection. And so any of these three, these groups of three, is enough. Any one of them is enough to take you all the way to absorption or reabsorption. And that reabsorption creates this kaivalya, this distinguishing or separation. It can mean in a good way, like not being caught up in everything that goes on the inside of the body and on the outside of the body and inside of the mind and in the world. Not being caught up doesn't mean we're stopping anything, oppressing anything, getting rid of anything. It just means what it says it means. Everything can occur. There's absolutely nothing that's banned. From desire to aversion, it occurs, but we're not caught up in it, meaning we're not pulled by it. Turn the other direction when you're ready. And the way into that absorption is through any of the groups of three. But we're focusing particularly on this summarizing of Patanjali's group of four into softness, spaciousness, steadiness. And so within every pose, if you're looking for those things, you're looking for steadiness, you're looking for spaciousness, you're looking for softness, but one doesn't push the other out. It's not like you become soft and then you forget to become steady. They happen simultaneously. It's not that spaciousness just, we just kind of get completely spacious without this sense of steadiness, without this sense of easefulness. They go together. Great, nice and easy. Coming out of that. Legs out in front of you when you're ready. And in your own time, we're going to draw one leg back and just hold on to it into the elbow of the other hand. You can see how much care, I hope you can see how much care I'm taking to not twist my knee. So I'm really extending forwards and I avoid twisting my foot to avoid twisting my knee. So I'm taking time. This angle at the back of the knee stays quite open. I'm placing into the crook of the elbow to really extend forwards. And just make sure there's no sensation of tightness or sharpness whatsoever going into the knee capsule. And then, of course, you've got movement that you might utilize for your meditation in the present. And of course, we're going to keep breath centered. So breathing is everything. So these little ways of practicing that we've come up with in the Vajrasati movement, that they're enough. Even if, you chose just one of these groups of three, or even if you just chose that little, the breath is everything, that will take you into absorption, take you into liberation. Then you'll realize essence, nature, and no longer confuse it for things that are not self. Like, the concept of the body, the concept of the personality, anything that we attach to is not self. Once that leg's nice and loose, and I bet you could keep going with that. I could. We're going to obviously do the same on the other. It's also a big stretch, I'm sure you've noticed, for your back muscles, the erector spinae, and not least of those. Similarly, that same amount of real care to not bring any tightness, tension, stinging into the knee at all. Just moving, playing, breathing. Forwards, backwards, left, right. All about the breath. It's all about the breath. So just look for those sensations that are rich enough. Remember, any of your groups of three, calmness conditions connection. Connection means reabsorption. We can call it samyogaha, which can just mean connection. Losing time is definitely something that is an affirmation of right practice. In yoga, if you lose a sense of time, that's an affirmation of right practice in yoga. Great, okay. Slowly, so that the back muscles have time to decompress, we come out of that. And we're going to use a block and maybe a belt, quite possibly not using a belt, maybe one or two blocks. Here's a block. In case you don't know what a block is, I thought I'd show you one. And we're going to sit on the block. We're going to come into Kraunchasana. So the Krauncha is it's a particular kind of red-breasted heron from South Asia, the Krauncha. Got the belt nearby, you might need it. We're going to fold one leg back beside us, scooting the shin gently under so that the thigh faces up. And if you need more to sit on, please take it. We don't want the knee to be sharp. So it's a Virasana leg, like, Virasana or Supta Virasana, with the inner ankle a little bit wider than the outer hip. And the leg really just beautifully lined up. From here, there's the option to bend the other leg. So everything in Kraunchasana except the hamstring stretch is here in this station. One leg folded, one leg up. And that means everything you need, like the stretch in the rectus femoris, like the way the stretch across the tibialis anterior on the front of the shin, like the potential to release tension held by the breath within little knee flexing muscles, right? The popliteus muscle, yeah. So breath, 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 breath. So I get everything I need out of this. Some people might want to lean back a little. It does change the dynamic of the stretch, and then the other foot might lift up off the floor a little bit. You get a different kind of stretch, more similar in some ways to Supta Virasana. Still can't just abandon the pose. You've got to be mindful. Then there's the option to hold the foot, the option to straighten the leg. These are not incumbent on us in any way, and they do not indicate inherently more yoga, better yoga. Straightening the leg and sacrificing the free flow of the breath to do so is worse yoga because it's disintegrative, and the word yoga implies integration or reintegration or reabsorption. Just using lots of synonyms. Integration, reintegration, reabsorption. So breath is everything. We can come back to that. For me, this is such a delicious, I could just really lose a lot of time, and it's a gateway to the infinite. So I've used spaciousness, because when you focus on spaciousness, it is a door to the infinite, to create space wherever you can, space that facilitates flow. Vahita in Sanskrit is flow. Okay, whichever station you brought yourself to in Kranchasana, we extend out that leg, lean away from the bent leg, release it slowly, and extend it out. And then buttock flesh out and back, you know, the shenanigans. And then fold the other leg back similarly. Again, it's Virasana. And again, we really want to scoot that shin under. It's so good, even for things like the plantar fascia, to do these kind of poses very regularly, every single day of your life. So breathe through your nose, drop the groins, soften the eyes, relax the breath if you can. Natural, honest, easeful breathing. Natural, honest, easeful breathing. There's the option to then fold the other leg back. And again, plenty of scope for play here, plenty. Remember, everything about Kranchasana is now in place, apart from the hamstring stretch. So, you know, here you get a great stretch through the gluteals of the top leg, get a great stretch through the rectus femoris of the lower leg and other muscles. You get some great compression and release in the plantar fascia and in the gastrocnemius and on and on and on. But it's, you know, as long as it's meditative. And I could stay like this, I reckon, and be getting something out of it for at least another 5 minutes. You know, getting something out of it in terms of meditation. We can lean back if we want, as I have done here. My foot is now free like a bird, like that beautiful Beatles song that was pulled together in the 90s without John Lennon, well, using recording, free as a bird. Again, there's the option to reach the foot. You could use a belt, but sometimes they're a bit awkward. And then there's the option to straighten the leg. And of course, the mind quite naturally tends to think that, you know, more of something is better. So if someone's got more flexibility, they're better at yoga, is what the mind thinks. But we just have to remember what the word yoga means: integration, reabsorption. And sometimes we take more and it starts to become disintegrative. So it's, you know, it's not always integrative. Like, you know, people sometimes crave for a bit more money so they can travel and they can connect with the world and they can feel secure in their homes and so on. And that's all perfectly understandable. But if you get more and more money, then it starts to become disintegrative. You start to disconnect with the world around you because you're not sure if people like you for you. Things begin to lose their value because everything's so, you can get anything you want anytime you want, and so on. So that's a good example of how more doesn't necessarily lead to greater integration. So the right amount, as the Buddha said, like tuning a veena, a stringed musical instrument. Too tight isn't good, too loose isn't good. It's a breath, breath, breath. Whatever station you're at, I hope you've got plenty of scope for exploration and breath. Plenty of scope. Okay, if you're ready, to come down whenever you're ready. Straighten out again. Take a breath or two, lay down on your back with your pata nearby. Straightforward, isn't it? Fairly straightforward. Good opportunity to let the back muscles relax. So let's go ahead and spend a few breaths just letting that happen. So no one's making it happen. We let it happen. Jaw soft, eyes soft, throat soft, brain soft, tongue soft. And when ready, raise up one leg, bring the pata around the front of the heel. Extend the other leg, keeping those three S's: softness, steadiness, spaciousness, simultaneously prioritized. One can't be allowed to knock the others out. Softness can't come in and knock out steadiness. Steadiness can't come in and knock out spaciousness. You need all of them right now in this moment, and that is meditation. Hold the pata with one hand only, same hand as the raised leg. Pull that raised leg towards you and out to its own side. Meditating means surrendering on the release between the front hip points, pervading the body with awareness, each and every cell with awareness. Keep the jaw passive, keep the eyes passive, keep the brain passive, keep the throat passive. Body, brain, breath, passive. Bringing the leg calmly up, bending the lower leg. This is the right order of events. Releasing the upper leg and then raising the upper leg. So before you release the upper leg, you bend the lower leg. That's the correct order of events. Then deep breaths. When you feel calm, and it doesn't have to take long, then you extend the inner groin. Breathe through the nose, extend the inner groin of the lower leg, which is, for it to be effective, has to have the three S's in it. Softness, steadiness, like the intention is very steady, but also soft, if you can balance those things. And spacious. Like a magic combination. If you mix them in with some other classic Vajrasati memory aids, breath is everything. Calmness conditions connection. Before you know it, it's like you've surrendered to a kiss or a hug or sunlight on your face. So I visited my mum today, Kate Aaron, and went to a garden centre. That's what she likes to do. Had lunch, had a baked potato. And it was a bit cloudy, but for a moment the sun came out for about, 2 minutes. And my mum just closed her eyes, took off her glasses, and then she was just gone, just bathing in the sunlight. She's always liked the sun very much. So that was a great example. It's like there was nothing. There was no past, no future, no name, no anything for that in that moment. That's what we're looking for. Hold the pata in one hand only. Let the leg pull towards the head and out to its own side. Take your time. Breathe through your nose. I've hit the wall, so I'm turning around. You carry on though. You probably haven't hit a wall. I mean, a physical wall. It's not an emotional wall. So that other leg is lower leg extended out with space in the groin, and the top leg's coming out to its own side.
This is Supta Pardangusthasana. Supta Pardangusthasana. Giving you a chance to practice the name if you want. Supta Pardangusthasana. And it's number 2, or Dvi. Number 2, Dvi. Breath, 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 breath. Breath, 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 breath. Okay, coming back up. Nice and cool, nice and calm and collected. Place the feet onto the floor. Take your patta, remove the block from underneath your head, put it underneath your pelvis, your tailbone coming off the end, your tailbone coming off the end. Take your feet up, patta around the ankles or the shins, and return the feet to the floor. Breathe through your nose if you can. Walk your arms down your patta, your belt, to bring your shoulders down away from your ears. Now, for me, this is already good. I hope you feel the same. It's already good. Pulling those collarbones down, opening that chest up, tone that tummy, lift the bum, squeeze up the buttocks, not together, but upwardly, and turn the belt out, twist it outwardly so that your upper arms turn out. Yes, the buttocks are toned, very much so, as are the hamstrings, but they're definitely not squeezing together. So try and tune in if you can on each buttock for a while individually, like the right buttock, toning up, pushing up, gathering in to itself, the left buttock. Obviously, we're listening and responding to other reactions in the body. If something else happens that you need to respond to, if your knees feel tight or your neck feels tight, obviously that's certainly, we encourage that, responding to the way things are. Okay, internal rotation. Shoulder blades move away from each other. Deep breaths, plural. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of those deep, 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 deep breaths. Eyes soft, brain soft, temples soft. Everything that can be soft is soft. So it's very simple like that. Everything that can be soft is soft. Take the block that's under your feet, flip it up. You might need to lift your heels up to get it under, but it goes underneath the back of the pelvis. You've got to find out where is the right place for you. It usually, for me, is fairly high up towards the crest of the pelvis when I've got a thin support like this, with the yoga block. But, find what works for you. Now, we also want to open the chest. So this is a dynamic action. You can do it with your hands on your hips, where you press your forearms down and really leverage your chest over towards your chin. So it's a dynamic action. It's a Jalandhara Bandha. And you breathe into it. You breathe into it. There's a light tone in the tum. I always want to say tra la 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 after that. There's light tone in the tum because it sounds like Brown Girl in the Ring by Boney M. When you're ready, walk in, lift your heels up, lightly tone the tummy. That will keep the integrity of the pelvic floor that we need. And then take the block out. Walk your feet away from your bum. Take a deep breath, or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 or 10. Natural, soft breath, neck, brain, eyes, jaw. Everything that can be soft is soft in this moment. Everything that can be soft is soft in this moment. Neck, shoulders, can they be softer? Shoulder blades, collarbones. Great. Now we're going to repeat the same thing again, either holding the yoga mat firmly, so walking your arms down, or potentially, if anyone has long arms relative to their torso, holding the shins. So you can either have very long arms or have a lot of elasticity in the spine and or shoulders. So most of us probably holding the mat is the right thing. We don't want the knees to be massively projected forwards. Holding shins or mat, tone the tummy in a wave, in towards the floor, up towards the head, and then lift up, externally rotating the arms, just as we did when we twisted the belt outwardly, pushing up through both gluteal muscles that we've tuned in on, them working individually. Definitely tone, like see how much tone you can get in the right buttock area, like it gathers in to itself as it pushes up. And then tune in on the left, similarly, really gathering as much independent tone in the gluteus maximus, independent, but as much as you can, you really gather and gather and gather and gather and gather and gather. Well done. Come down slowly. Let your shoulder blades move away from each other as you come down. Walk your feet away. Catch a deep breath, or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7, or even 8 or 9. Suppose you could have 10. And then roll over in your own time onto your side, taking a regular block and sitting on that regular block, ready for Vajrasati. So the legs are extended out in front of you. I could show you sideways on. And we're going to swing our legs. Maybe I'll do my legs towards you first so you can see. Over to one side. Into the foot arch of one foot comes the top of the bottom of the shin, the top of the foot, roughly of the other. So you make a sort of cross with your feet. Can sit on more than one block. I'm actually going to bring my legs the other direction. Now I've showed you the foot position because I want to end up turning to face you. Make sure what will be your back leg, which is effectively your top leg, is the one that's on the other foot. Make sure that's beginning to soften. And to help with that, we can take the same hand as that top leg, where the thumb runs along the thumb. You can run that along that crease at the top of the thigh that runs from your inner groin to your outer hip. And you just press down and out. Just press down and out towards the top of the outer thigh. And I'm doing it over and over again, pressing down, releasing, until I can feel that pressing down that corresponds to a appropriate amount of release. A release of the breath, release of the mind, release of the tension that the mind's taken hold of. Then we're going to turn, bring one hand on the floor behind us. So we've got one hand on the thigh, one hand on the floor, and breathe through the nose. And that hand is reminding that leg not to lift, but also to release, not just to not lift, but to release. So breathing natural, breathing easy, breathing honest. Now, if you want, you can take the other hand and reach round to the hand that's on the thigh and hold the wrist. So that's an option that gives another dimension for the shoulder of the arm that's just taken clasp with the other wrist. This is a great way to stay, especially as you're settling the buttock, settling the leg. But you can even go further. You can let that arm slide through and bring your hand to your inner thigh, so sort of in the middle of the legs, or even go round to the outer thigh, palm in or out, bum settle, but keep reminding that back leg not to lift. Please. Keep reminding that back leg not to lift. Breath, 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 breath. Natural, natural, natural. Eyes very, very soft. That back leg again and again. Okay, and then release and return to center. Keep breathing, free, natural. We're going to stretch out the legs similarly. And this time I will turn away in case it was confusing about the arms. And I think I'll put the light on as well, because it's getting a bit dark. Getting a bit dark in here. So legs to the other side, that bit you know straight away. In fact, you probably know it all regarding the pose. But this time I will turn away from you, because just to make it clear what the arm's doing in case it wasn't clear before. Hand on the thigh, same hand as the top leg. The thumb follows the line from the inner groin to the very top of the outer thigh. So we want to press with the heel of our hand out and down. Again and again, do it and then release it, do it and then release it, until you get that release of any pressure. You're releasing pressure. Then you lift and turn and breathe. Keep the eyes soft, brain soft, throat soft, tongue soft. And so it's really a reminder not to let that back leg lift and turn with us, which in itself is a reminder to let go of tensions to do with upadana. Upadana meaning reaching out. Letting go of tensions to do with upadana. There's the option, as before, and maybe this is maybe a little easier to see, to reach round with your other hand and hold on to the wrist. And breathe easy, breathe natural. And that works really well because you've got that reminder and you've still got that, and you've also got that lovely twist and lovely stretch across the collarbones. You could let that arm go through the inside of the hand that's holding it to the inner thigh. So that hand coming through, or even holding further up, you have to hold above the elbow to go round to the outer thigh. Not holding the breath, softening tensions to do with the mind, to do with the breath, to do with trying, to do with upadana. That is reaching out. Bum settled, eyes soft, brain relaxed, tongue relaxed. Knee soft, knees soft. Especially that little popliteus muscle inside the knees. So that's soft. Okay, well done. Nice and easy, I hope. Nice and easy. Returning to center. And coming onto hands and knees when you're ready. We're going to come into Adho Mukha Svanasana. That's the downward facing dog. So we're going to take our normal checks. Check number 1, making sure the hands are equidistant from the sides and front of the mat. Check number 2, making sure the middle fingers both face the same way, which should be forwards. Check number 3, make sure the hands are spread in a comparable way to each other. They're both spread similarly. Check. Now the next check is to lift your bum up, and then you can check your feet. They also should be equidistant from the sides of the mat. The heels go back, the back of the thighs go forwards, the front of the thighs go up. Breathing is deep, breathing is expressive. Armpits are opening, inner, outer, under. Spontaneous, natural, investigative. We want to bring strength, integration. So that comes through the front thighs by integrating cell after cell, molecule after molecule in an uplift through the front of the thighs, cell after cell. You need to be steady about this, spacious in doing this. And breath centered, steady, spacious. And breath centered. So come back to a soft attitude with a clear conviction. That's another way of putting it. Soft attitude, clear conviction. It's very steady, very stable conviction. The more you stretch up, the more the head goes down. It should get increasingly dynamic, and not least in the way we look to press our hands more and more evenly. We don't collapse, we're always lifting. So it's not hanging off joints, flexible joints. If you've got them, you're reiterating the lift again and again and again. This beautiful Adho Mukha Svanasana. Now we're going to bring our feet a little closer towards each other. We're going to raise one leg. Be mindful of what might be behind you and play with various stretches in this Trianga Adho Mukha Svanasana. I call it Trianga. I think most people in the modern postural yoga world call it Tripada, 3 feet. I kind of prefer Trianga, 3 limbs. Anyway, playing with it. And then when you're ready, bent knee comes forwards into the place of its own hand on an exhalation. And then playing with the placement of your back knee by lifting and landing it behind the pelvis is important. It goes behind the pelvis. So your leg is not perpendicular to the floor, but diagonal to the floor. And then experiment with coming up onto your leg with your hands. See how that goes. Still breathing through your nose if you can. And if that doesn't feel comfortable on your back knee, you can go straight back down to the hands and little adjustments. Like, let's remember how tiny nerves are, like tiny little threads. And so a little adjustment can make a big amount of difference. We're going to raise the arms up, lightly tone the tummy, breathe through the nose. Keep the jaw passive. This is a lower version, low lunge, is that what people call it, of Anjaneyasana. That's one of Hanuman's names, Anjaneyasana. Anjaneya was one of the names of his mother. So working into it, toning the tummy. By all means, stretch the psoas more, but give to it. Don't stretch is not yoga. And a rich sensation is not yoga. Only a rich sensation that you give to. And you do that with the breath. So if you do move backwards, it's not a back bend so much as an inner groin stretch and release. So it must mean that the further back you go, the more your tummy has tone. It becomes very dynamic in terms of the tone of the tummy. Okay, well done. Coming forwards and back to Adho Mukha Svanasana when you're ready. Down face dog. Take deeper breaths, don't hold the breath. Again, let's look for some strength. Let's build some strength through our legs with tone that's reiterative, brought in again and again, going up through the front thighs, pulling up on the knees. So there's more space inside the knee. So it's got steady pulling up to create space. Steady pulling up to create space. Breathing natural. When you're ready, you can walk your feet a little closer and then to each other, that is, and then raise the other leg, bending and extending in the air if you find that useful. I quite enjoyed that sort of thing. You can raise and descend the heel of the foot on the floor if you want. I find that quite nice too. And then anytime you feel ready, on an exhalation, the foot comes forwards into the place of its own hand, usually on a dynamic exhale. Of course, that can be done in 2 or 3 steps rather than one big step. One way or the other, however you got there, lifting and landing the back knee multiple times, not holding the breath, climbing up onto your leg with your hands. And if that doesn't feel right, no problem, back down you go, just adjust. Tiny adjustments make big amounts of difference, and you can adjust as many times as you need to until it works. Then the arms raise up if you're happy to raise them. Light tone in the tummy, breathe through your nose. The word light here means that it's responsive tone in the tummy. Keeping that tone in the tummy, focus on the inner groin. Perhaps you can feel the psoas and the iliacus going across the lateral pubis and deep into the posterior abdominal wall. You can feel the same muscles attaching to the sides of the lower spine. And the more you can feel the psoas and breathe into it, sure, you can lean back, but it's dynamic. The more you lean back, the more there's muscular tone, powerful, asserted, this steady conviction, stira, muscular tone. Or it's not like you kind of cruise there, you know. Okay, you come forwards, back to hands and knees. Take a breath, wag your tail, whatever feels good and loose and spacious and breath-centered. If it shows up, the looseness shows up in the breath, then you know that looseness is the real thing. Let's bring the other knee forwards to the back of its wrist. I say the other knee, just your knee. Foot moves diagonally across the body. Stretch back your other leg in your own time. If you feel collapsed, your pelvis feels like it's collapsing over, then of course you can use a block under the bum. But many of us you might feel fine without it. If you feel a lot of pressure on the medial meniscus, usually leaning over it, as long as it hasn't started to become set in, leaning over it will stop that pressure. Take your time. Lift up more if you want. I like to place one hand on the thigh and one hand on the foot, but you can do whatever works for you. But we do want to take weight off the vertebrae. We want to really lift up. So one vertebrae off the one underneath it, off the one underneath it. So again, it's a lot of tummy tone in all these back arches. That's how the quadratus lumborum gets long, through the tummy tone. The QL, quadratus lumborum. That's how it gets long, through the tummy tone. Breathing natural, breathing honest. Stretch open that inner groin. Don't hold the breath. Of course, you can come to your forearms if you prefer, or maybe I shouldn't say if you prefer, but if your breath becomes more liberated, more expressive, further down, then of course feel encouraged to take that lower down position. I just think it's gorgeous. I hope you like it. Yeah. Okay. So if you're up, come down a bit, then tuck your back toes under, bring your back knee forwards, come back to hands and knees and huff and puff. Like a few deep breaths. And of course, for the breath to be free, the body has to be free, because there is no breath and body. There's just body, breath, mind, universe. So as the Sankhya Karika tells us, Prakriti is one. When you're feeling loose, you're feeling good, other knee goes forwards to the back of the other wrist, the foot moves diagonally across the body, and you stretch back. All of the caveats that I mentioned before apply. Meniscal pain, lean over, collapsing pelvis, use a block. If you're happy to be up, then work on making space between the vertebral bodies. When we learn about the spine, we learn their main features are the vertebral bodies, the facet joints, the spinous processes, and the transverse processes, and the discs. So these vertebral bodies of the lumbar are very, very heavy. And all these features are one, you can sort of take one chunk of bone and it's got the vertebral body, it's got the laterally, it's got the transverse processes, posteriorly, it's got the spinous process, and above and below, projecting down, it has these facet joints. So, really feel how you can make space, how you can make a really good lift of one bone off the other bone. Definitely don't hold the breath. Concentrate on the lift. Hopefully it's opened the door to the infinite, in which the yogin disappears. Okay, oh, so good, isn't it? Yeah, it's delicious. Come down if you're up, come up if you're down, tuck the back toes under, and come back to hands and knees when you're ready, with a bit of circulation of the pelvis, intimating looseness, easefulness, calmness. Then we're going to lay on our tums, on the tum-tum. If you've got a very hard floor or a very thin mat, you might want to put a blanket down. You can if you want, but I think you'll probably be okay. Up on the elbows and forearms, Stretch your tummy forwards, stretch the leg back, and work on those two things together with an aim to feel deep in the belly. A length, a spaciousness is growing. We want this steady commitment to spaciousness. So stretching the tummy, stretching the legs. You can't do that too many times. You can do it too few. You can't do it too many. Getting the psoas prepared by getting it to its maximum length before anything else. We're going to stay up on our elbows. We're going to bring our arms beside us, thumbs on the floor. Look forwards, breathe through the nose. Now just experiment with turning your heels in. Now release them away from each other. We're going to lift the legs by toning the buttocks, but we're not going to turn the heels in. We know what it feels like. We're not going to do it. So don't turn the heels in. Breathe through your nose. The legs just only have to lift a tiny bit, like the thighs might just lift a little bit up off the floor. You can lift the arms as well if you want. This is, of course, the Shalabhasana. Breathing easy. Some people like to go straight from Shalabhasana into Dhanurasana, but watch out for cramp in the hamstrings. So you can, if you want, either stay in Shalabhasana or come up into Dhanurasana. This can be done one leg at a time or both together. If you can get the shins, that's desirable. But if you can't, ankles are fine and feet are fine. Reaching for the shins, of course, gives you a lot more lift up in the chest. And then calmly we drive the back of the body in towards the front of the body and stretch along the front of the body. Perhaps you can even visualize what the psoas is doing as it attaches to the sides of the lower spine. Down you come, nice and calm. One hand on top of the other, rest your head. Take 3 really deep breaths with your head resting on your hands. So we really deep breaths. Jaw soft, eyes soft, brain soft, throat soft, tongue soft. Come up onto your elbows again, pushing it right to the edges of the time envelope. We're coming ready for Bhujangasana. So here, stretching the tummy, stretching the legs, that's the same as before. But this time, we're bringing the legs as close to each other as we can through repetition. Once you've worked on that length in the deep belly till you feel it's really established, then you bring your hands by your midribs. And to be honest, I don't think anyone's going to not benefit from staying in this position, not turning the heels in. You can feel your back muscles are active, very, very important. You can tone the tummy. Some people even might be able to lift their hands up off the floor and breathe into that. If you do get the hands off the floor, that's a good indication that you might also benefit from pushing into the floor. So if it's difficult to get the hands off the floor, then bring them back to it and stay in that first position. But if it is possible to get the hands off the floor, then it means your back muscles are engaged suitably to come into a straighter arm version of the same pose. Not better, it's just straighter arm. And the pose, of course, is Bhujangasana. Again, vertebral awareness, taking one bone off the other, off the other, off the other, off the other, like that. Okay, suppose we better come down. Slow and calm. One hand on top of the other. Take deep breaths. Let the bum relax. Let the pelvic floor release. Let any tension around the pubococcygeus release. One of the pelvic floor muscles between the pubis and the coccyx. Pubococcygeus, iliococcygeus, puborectalis, and coccygeus are the 4 muscles of the pelvic floor. Just mention that for anyone who might have their Vajrasati finals coming up. Iliococcygeus, pubococcygeus, puborectalis, and coccygeus. But if you don't have your finals coming up, just concentrate on the pubococcygeus between the pubic bone and the tailbone, and how there's a relationship between that muscular release and the breath. takes however long it takes until you feel comfortable enough to roll over, slow and calm, and finally roll right over onto your back. Head support if your head tips back. Definitely lots of space for your arms, shoulder blades scooted under. Legs can extend if your back is ready for that. You can keep them bent otherwise. And once you're in your Shavasana, then it's surrender, isn't it? Sharanagati. Sharanagati, surrender. As the eyes close in Shavasana, we feel a release through the optic nerves, going right the way back towards the back of the brain. Right the way back towards the back of the brain. Everything's saying Om. Everything's saying yes. Jaw soft, eyes soft, throat soft, brain soft, tongue soft. Or either continuing to lay or feeling energy coming into the body by moving the fingers, moving the toes, or doing that movement of the fingers or the toes whenever you feel, it might not be now, it might be in a while. And if you are ready to move, then roll onto your left side for a bit before, of course, rolling onto your other side, hopefully equally comfortably. And either remaining where you are or bringing your hands together to a position in front of this Tripura Sundari, she is, also known as Lalita, she who is playful. May any benefit that we've gained interacting in this way go to the alleviation of the suffering of all beings. Om. Thank you so much for your time. Hugely appreciated as ever. I hope you enjoy your
rest of whatever's happening for you. And I'll see you, some of you, very soon, even tomorrow. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Lovely to see you. Love you. Bye. Bye.